do not ever trust some random YouTuber on, yeah, just go ahead and click OK, it's no big deal. Because what happened was this guy, exactly what you're talking about, Sean, he downloaded an AI photo tool off of some random GitHub, and surprise, surprise, it was malware. And it was the worst type of malware where.
Welcome to Cybersecurity Growth, a show for aspiring and existing cybersecurity leaders. I am your co-host, Sean Valley, founder and chief strategist of Cybersecurity Growth. I'm also a musician here on Twitch and elsewhere under the name Music by SV, but more on that later. Welcome to episode number 30. And hello to my co-host, Garrett Gross. Hey, Garrett.
Oh, hey, Sean. How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good.
Nice. It has been a very long time since we hit the go live button. It seems like we usually do this every 2 weeks according to our schedule. That's what we always do. But it has been a very long time, it seems like, since, you and I have been chatting offline, but since we've done the show. So I hope you've been doing well.
Yeah, it's same to you. I mean, it's just been a bunch of work and a bunch of family stuff. I know, same for you. So, glad to be back in the saddle.
Yeah, in our area, I don't know what's going on in the northeast of the United States, but everybody has the flu, and the flu is turning into pneumonia. And in fact, I had like a lunch plan scheduled today with someone who's like, yeah, I can't do it. I got pneumonia. And I was like, oh, two people in my house are overcoming pneumonia right now. It is very bizarre. Flu to pneumonia. That's what's happening.
Well, that's okay. I think I've got you beat down here. We've got a measles outbreak in my area, so that's interesting.
Ooh, yikes. I thought we're not supposed to get those anymore. I thought the, measles, mumps, rubella, wasn't there like a vaccine or something like that we were all supposed to take?
There's a whole lot of probably sensitive commentary that I could inject in there regarding that. But yeah, somehow the measles has found its way back.
Wow, it's exciting. Welcome back to the 30s, 40s?
What's next? Smallpox?
I don't know. We have like so much to get caught up on. But let me start with today's agenda. So on today's show, looking at the rundown here, we have a Nerd Zone segment, and for those who aren't familiar, Nerd Zone is our current news section. And then we have other things to talk about. We have new cybersecurity growth merch to talk about, maybe even show. We have some new cybersecurity growth training that has been released since the last time we did a show. And we're talking about some of our services as well. So there is just like a ton of things on our agenda today. But before we do that, as we like to do every show, we like to show off the world. Yeah. What we're wearing, who we're wearing, and Garrett, I want to throw it to you to get us started. Garrett, who are you wearing today?
My favorite part of the show. So I actually, and we've talked about this before, most of our wardrobes are made of, security t-shirts and stuff, but I've actually had to go back to the archive to find some shirts, and I found a good one today. So this is a Rapid7 shirt that is not something that you could probably get away with.
I've not seen this before. No.
So for the folks that are listening, it says "License to Kill." It's got the James Bond, camera aperture thing or whatever. And in the middle, almost as their target, is the Qualys logo.
Oh my God.
Which was a major competitor of theirs back in the day. And probably still is.
Still is. And they're the top. They're two of the top three in the space.
Them and Tenable, right? Yep. And so this was a shirt that we had for the sales team. Mind you, we had stuff like we had I'm probably gonna get in trouble for this. I don't care. We had a Tenable doormat so that we could like walk on the Tenable logo as we entered the sales floor. Like we were so bad.
That's so
but
bad.
Like this one is especially terrible because like I used to wear this out. It's literally "License to Kill." Here's our competitor logo. So
that just must have killed the marketing team. Just destroyed them when they saw this. I'm like, please get this out of here, please.
Well, we had a habit of making shirts without asking marketing. Like I don't know if you remember the Grateful Dead logo.
Yes, yeah, we had that on the show a few weeks back. A few months back or something.
You'd get a cease and desist if you actually released that, publicly or officially. So I think this is definitely one of the sales team, like I mean, there are some other shirts that we won't mention on this show that came from the sales team, but that was probably where that came from.
You know, when I was at Rapid 7 in my team, we would create our own swag that we would make
Oh
for
yeah,
ourselves, and
oh yeah.
but like I wouldn't say we followed any rules, but we if you look at the end result, like, oh, it looks like this was approved. This looks like it was approved. We didn't do this. We didn't do
Yeah,
that fun stuff. We kept it like typical corporate team is what ours looked like.
as we've talked about in the past, Rapid 7 was one of the best companies I've ever worked for, and we did whatever the hell we wanted to. It was amazing. And again, with good reason, because we were on top. It was the golden years of that company.
It's like
So
what Billy Idol says in The Wedding Singer. They're like, people in the first class, they do basically whatever they want to do. He says that in the Wedding Singer.
yeah,
It's
and we
good
did,
scene.
and we did. So I am very anxious to see what you have on today, and I will flip the camera back around and I'll ask you, Sean Valley, yeah,
Yes.
over here, Garrett Gross with Cybersecurity Growth. Please tell us, what are you wearing?
So, Garrett and everybody, first off, I got a couple things on. One, I've got it, we're still in the cold months here in the northeast of the U.S., so I'm dressed in a pretty warm coat here. You can kind of hear a little ASMR in the microphone picking it up.
Yeah, looks like it.
So what I have on is a security guard jacket
Oh
from the
yeah.
USI, the United Security Incorporated. It has a patch here. It has a nice U.S. flag, represent United States, go U.S.
Very,
And
very
it is
official.
a security guard jacket. And of course, what is very valuable of having a security guard jacket? Well, it allows you many times to be able to walk into a building that has many different offices and many different companies and appear as if you are potentially with the physical security team of that office and
Yep.
possibly tailgate in through doors and get into certain spots, and people aren't going to
Mhm.
question you a whole lot. I'll give the full history of how this jacket came to my existence, which yes, it has been very valuable from a physical penetration testing perspective, but how did I actually get this jacket? It's kind of funny because I just
I
went
know the
to
story.
a store down the street from my office where you can go pick up used clothing for dirt cheap,
Mhm.
pennies on the dollar, and went with, $5 cash and said, what do you guys got? And I stumbled on this coat for two whole dollars.
Wow,
And this coat has served me very, very well.
that is
So anyways,
awesome.
yeah, I'm part of the United Security Incorporated. Not sure I'm going
Second
to,
only to a clipboard and or a ladder
yep.
to getting into
Yeah, right. Just
places.
carry, yeah. So I'm not saying this will be used on any future pen test, but I thought I'd wear it today. Now,
Yeah, you burned it now. People are
yeah, I
people
burned
are
it. I burned
aware
it.
of
I
it.
intentionally burned it. But I do have a new shirt underneath, and let me derobe.
Ah, yes.
So we have been talking about cybersecurity growth merch, things that I would call official and unofficial cybersecurity growth merch. I'm starting today with
Mhm.
the unofficial, though it's partially official. So I'm wearing a really nice Adidas black polo shirt, like something you'd see a consultant wear at a consultant meeting or on the floor of a conference. And it says CISO up in the top right here. But and I've spelt out what CISO stands for on this shirt. Career is soon over. CISO, career is soon over.
I love the self-deprecating CISO
Yes.
humor. It's great. It's the only way to live.
From the CISO wearing the CISO shirt, career is soon over.
100%.
This is embroidered. Like this
It's
is
very fancy
legit
looking.
quality. It's a phrase that I have heard for many years before I was in a role of CISO, and I thought to myself, I want this on a t-shirt. You just said it, Garrett. Self-deprecating. I'm a big fan of self-deprecation.
Right.
I also am a believer of if you can't have fun in this world, then what are you doing here? And so this kind of hits a bunch of things. And like I said, it's an Adidas, official Adidas shirt. This shirt is also available now in the Cybersecurity Growth merch store. So if you go to
Yes.
cybersecuritygrowth.com, you could actually buy yourself the career is soon over shirt. Might be fun for a friend of yours who might be in a CISO role as a great gag gift. I bought it for myself as my own gag. And by the way, like I said, it's unofficial, but sort of official. over
Look at that.
on the left sleeve is the embroidered Cybersecurity Growth logo. And I wasn't sure how this was going to come out, but I like it. It came out really
That's
nice.
fantastic. And not just good for your CISO friends. I mean, this would be good for a bar or bat mitzvah, maybe a, graduation gift.
Yes.
Someone's in the
So many
hospital
options.
recovering. You buy them the CISO
Could,
shirt.
hey, I love all these different places. I was thinking like it'd be kind of neat for someone who's like in, they're in college and they're in the cybersecurity
Oh yeah,
major. But I
for
like,
sure.
yeah, the bat mitzvah. That's good. It's a good bat mitzvah
Yeah.
gift. It's
If you
fantastic.
actually get this for a CISO friend of yours, they might not talk to you again. So just, consider that.
It's very possibly true. Possibly very true. So yeah, these are available in the Cybersecurity Growth
That's awesome.
store. I don't know how long we will keep them there. You can get them, I believe, you might be able to get these in different colors, but there's other options in there. I
Yeah.
decided to get the one that made me laugh the most. By the way, we are going to have official merch in our store that have the logos and other things, and then we're going to have some more comical, satirical type stuff in there as
I
well.
love
So,
it. I love it.
anyways, yeah, we are now in the merch business, Garrett.
I'm just a baron of textiles at this point. It's fantastic.
All right, here we go.
Is your business prepared for today's cyber challenges? At Cybersecurity Growth, we don't just offer consulting, we provide trusted, real world expertise to protect what matters most to your organization. From cybersecurity assessments to strategic roadmaps, Cybersecurity Growth brings the experience you need to turn security challenges into lasting strengths. We've helped companies navigate critical incidents and build strategies to reduce future risk. For example, when a mid-sized tech company that we partner with faced a data breach, we worked with their team to contain the threat, restore operations, and implement measures to strengthen their defenses for the future. Because of our level of comprehensive care and rapid response, we're trusted by clients across tech, finance, and life sciences to provide the guidance they need to secure their business and safeguard their customers. Ready to protect your business? Visit cybersecuritygrowth.com/contact for a free consultation.
It's time for Nerd Zone.
Yeah, so Nerd Zone. It's funny. We probably were just talking about this. We're probably going to change the name to something, but originally this was just us nerding out on random topics. But yeah, this is our kind of quick hit security in the news section. So I'll kick it off with remember the Disney hack that happened? It was middle of last year, like maybe during the summer or something like that. A bunch of records were leaked about Disney. Well, it came out that what happened, that a Disney engineer had actually downloaded an AI photo tool that, surprise, surprise. I mean, this was like off some random GitHub. Guys, don't download binaries and executables off random GitHubs
Hold on.
unless you're.
Before you go on,
Yeah, yeah.
a
Oh, yeah, yeah.
thing that I was looking at today, literally regarding our show today. We use a piece of software called the Open Broadcaster Software (OBS). It's what all
Mhm.
the most of the live streamers use who have a decent live stream setup. I was looking for a plugin to allow me to stream to multiple services without having to pay for it. I can pay for it. There's ways to pay, but I'm like, I'm a tech nerd. Let me go see what someone's built. And again, a public GitHub repo with some Windows executables and Mac DMGs and plugins. And I'm watching somebody who do a demo video on YouTube for this thing, and he's like, right here, it's going to give you this warning. It's a false positive warning of a security warning. Just say okay. I'm like, oh my god, this
No,
YouTube guy,
no,
he
it's
doesn't
the
know.
worst
He
thing
has
ever.
no clue who developed this. The notes are not in English, and he's just saying, it'll be fine. And now you can stream to all these different services. So back to your point, this dude downloaded an AI photo tool, and just people assume that everyone's good on the internet and like to create free software and give it away for free. And
When I feel like insecurity, especially when we were in SecOps, like we get a bad rap for being skeptical and pessimistic. It's like, no, 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 that's our job. Because here's the deal. Unless you are a Ghidra, or if you're of the other flavor of society, an IDA expert, and you can decompile executable and other binaries, do not ever download some random exe. And here's the deal. If your operating system says, hey, this might be malicious, don't make an exception. Again, there are if it's widely documented that like, okay, this thing is actually a process injection tool, that's why it shows up. So, and here's all the proof. Do your research and stuff, but do not ever trust some random YouTuber on, yeah, just go ahead and click okay, it's no big deal. Because what happened was this guy, exactly what you're talking about, Sean, he downloaded an AI photo tool off of some random GitHub, and surprise, surprise, it was malware. And it was the worst type of malware where this, I think it was a combo keylogger and, remote session initiator where the threat actors were able to access his local password vault, which was allegedly, you got to be careful here, allegedly was one password, according to a couple of sources. And unfortunately, this guy had mixed business with pleasure and had a lot of his personal logins as well as work logins stored in this personal password vault. So there's like 9 lessons here to learn. Like, don't mix business and pleasure.
All right.
And actually, there's more on that later on.
There's so much already. Just the whole GitHub download thing. We've never really. I'm thinking about all of our shows before. We've never really talked about this before, and it's interesting because I landed on this risk today. And for anyone wondering, Sean, did you download the stuff so you could stream to multiple services? No, because it's too high risk. I don't know the developer. I don't have time to reverse engineer his code to see where is it called. I mean, I could, but I got work to do. I don't have time to do that. Right. So I can't trust it. This stuff is everywhere where people make free stuff for themselves, and then there are people out there who are making malicious stuff, and you don't know which is which unless you can truly assess the code in the product. Like this, this is something we could probably talk about a lot, because if this person was truly an engineer at Disney, that means their computer was approved to do engineering stuff. Right. At most companies, the engineers can do whatever they want, usually, right? They have access to go to GitHub and GitLab and other tools and code repos and download stuff where your typical business user might not. They may have restrictions on the ability to go to things that they don't need to do their job. So if this person was an engineer, their computer was likely sanctioned and approved to do this thing.
Well, and kind of tongue in cheek, but also kind of not, developers are the bane of our existence because they do get special considerations to use things that are on the prohibited list if it's, in the effort of getting a release out quicker to secure a deal at the end of the quarter or whatever. Like, these are realities that Sean and I have lived actually in our last operational role together, where we were kind of put up against the wall of you need to allow the developers to do that. That's its own topic. But you're right. This guy had very privileged access into Disney Engineering's department, and shame on them, because this shows how pervasive this stuff can be, and how if you're not really careful about segmenting out your environment, how this can get out of control very quickly. Because what this allowed the threat actors to do is not only harvest his personal logins, and we're talking about things like his Ring camera login, which how invasive is that? Depending on how where you have your camera set up. Work related ones, the worst of which being the official Disney Slack, which this is, and guys, those of us that use Slack or maybe use Teams, the amount of sensitive stuff that is unfortunately published in these work chats. It's voluminous and never ending. So the threat actors were able to download about 44 million Slack messages from their corporate Slack tenant.
So on the Slack thing for a second, most companies, the legal team, the privacy team, and the security team usually get together to tell the business why they need to put some restrictions on Slack, to say, let's only keep the chat history for 3 months, a month, 6 months. And then the rest of the business says, no, Slack is critical to our business operations.
That's our wiki.
Yeah, I need the history to go back, eternally. And there's always this back and forth between the legal and security team against the whole rest of the business. That's this, 44 million records is more likely that they probably have all of history in Slack, which a lot of companies do, because oftentimes security and privacy might lose that fight, or they just have not won the fight yet. And it takes an event like this for them to say, see, I told you why we needed to reduce the historical logs.
Because it's extra effort to harvest those nuggets and put them into an official wiki. But again, guys, that's segmentation. We're not just talking about networks here, like segmenting out important knowledge base articles or things like that. And Sean, you're right on the money. That's exactly why they should have had some sort of aggressive retention period of, maybe 3 months or so. So the interesting part here is that this is where this really kind of like hurts me from a personal level. The engineer was contacted by the threat actors via some random Discord message. Discord being another chat program, but that's usually,
Yeah, if you're not familiar with Discord, it's Slack under a different name. It's the easiest way to look at it.
except that the corporations don't normally use Discord
Mm.
unless it's for like a community outreach type vehicle. But threat actors contacted this engineer. They, told him, hey, we've got all your, logins and stuff, and even validated it with here's your, schedule from yesterday, like stuff that only he would have known. And they were like, you need to give us all this stuff or else we're going to release all this information. And instead of complying with the threat actors, he actually did go to Disney's security team to report this. So kudos to him.
It's good.
That is the right thing to do.
Right. Yeah. See something, say something. You have a problem, reach
Yep,
out to the security team. Most every semi-mature security company's like, you see something weird, tell us. We'll work with you
that's
on it.
right.
Does that make
That's
sense?
right. And like, without getting into graphic detail, a lot of folks will like I've seen, in fact, I've had them reach out to me myself saying, "Hey, we've got some pictures of you in compromising situations, so you need to give us 10 Bitcoin or we're going to release this or whatever." Never, ever do that. Because just like with ransomware, or like paying the ransom threat actors, there's no guarantee that they're not going to release your private information anyway. So contacted the security team. They did their due diligence. Here's the bad part, and here's where I don't fault Disney for this at all. I fault the user 100%. The engineer was fired from Disney because, as a result of a comprehensive scan of their entire environment, especially his machine, it they found out that he was accessing some adult only material from his work machine and was therefore fired. Which I'm just gonna put it out there. Don't look at that stuff on your work machine.
Oh
Like
my
there's
God,
no
Gary, you're so it's so funny.
no need to
You're
do
so
that.
pleasant. Adult only material. So he's hanging on someone's OnlyFans, watching the porn, doing the things you shouldn't be. There,
Don't ever do that.
Garrett, there's like, one of the things as you were reading through this, wait, his password vault was taken over and his Slack was taken over. It immediately got me thinking, where the F is the SSO here? But
Where's the MFA?
I took a step back and said, session hijacking. We don't talk about this enough. I think 2025 might be the year you and I talk about this more.
Yeah.
2024 was the year that we belabored MFA, MFA, MFA. I think we need to, I think 2025 is going to be the year where you and I take the world to the next level, which is fish resistant MFA, which is a different
Yeah.
topic. And then also session hijacking. So,
Preventing against
when the
hijacking.
bad guys are finding ways to install a piece of software on our computers now, we've historically said, use an MFA so they can't log into your account, so they can't scrape your passwords and log in. Now, if you're already logged in and you've now allowed a bad guy to install a piece of something on your computer, the MFA and the password doesn't matter nearly as much because you already have a live session, right? If you think about
That's right.
Slack, how often do you have to log into Slack? Like once every few weeks?
Right.
How often do you have to
Exactly.
log in your password manager? Depending on the rules, maybe once a day, maybe once every couple days, depending on the
Yep.
rule. While those things are logged in, your computer has an active working live session. All the bad guy needs is to figure out a way to get onto your computer and steal the session token, steal that session cookie, bring it to their own environment,
That's
and
right.
they can reuse your cookie. So I know Garrett and I have more like deep dives because last year we deep dived a lot on MFA. I know we need to help deep dive a little further. I don't know the details of this hack, but that's one of the things that came to mind that someone probably took
Absolutely.
over this person's one password session and then their Slack session, and MFA may not have even played a factor in this. I don't know yet.
Well, I'm guessing, and again, we're guessing because we don't have the full output of how this attack was accomplished. But I'm guessing they just had full control of the guy's machine. They're probably just watching him do everything. They're logging all of his keystrokes, just like you said. They're able to hijack sessions. But again, there are also a lot of missed enforcements here. That again, we're maybe in another show we can go deep into, like you said, fish resistant MFA, preventing against session hijacking, stuff like that. But there are a lot of lessons to be learned here on that.
Yeah. Wow, this is it's nasty thinking about your 44 million Slack messages. So you're likely your entire company's history. So it won't be every Slack channel. It's every Slack channel this guy, this engineer
Public.
had access
Oh,
to.
that,
So
yeah,
it's going to be
exactly.
the company wide messages, all the channels he was involved in, all the DMs he was involved in, and all the group channels that he could have had access to that maybe he didn't. All the
That's
private
right.
channels he didn't have access to, they probably couldn't get. But the amount of Disney IP that probably got pulled from this is pretty massive.
Yep. And the bad thing is folks that use Slack know, it's kind of hard to extract messages unless you have that like advanced enterprise level. Well, guarantee that Disney had the advanced enterprise level version of Slack where they could just output everything via the API. But even if they don't, even if you're sitting there going, well, we just use the free version of Slack, do not put it past threat actors to not sit there and manually copy and paste Slack messages from your machine.
You
Like
know, it's
if they
funny.
have hijacked the machine.
This is why we called this section Nerd Zone, because we don't just read the news and move on. We sit
Right.
here and like the two of us analyze it in real time of like, hey, what could this have been, or what do we know of this, and what are some other things? All right, what's next?
I'll kind of skim through the next one since we spent so much time on the Disney one, but DISA Global Solutions, and as Sean pointed out, not the government agency. What is that government
Yeah,
agency
the
again?
Defense Information Systems Agency. So this news story, DISA Global Solutions is DISA.com. The DISA for the government is DISA.gov. Two different worlds. I don't know why this company would reuse that acronym, but two
I
different
don't know
worlds.
either, but you probably have heard of DISA from DISA STIG, which is a great framework to reference. But this is a completely different organization. These are folks might be even more worse to have breached this DISA than the defense organization, which is saying a lot. This is a private company that performs background checks and drug tests for some of the biggest companies in the United States. They said that they were a victim of a cyber incident, which I love that term. That's great. In which hackers gained access to the private information, including, here we go, social security numbers, credit card numbers, government identification, which references driver license, IDs, passports of more than 3 million people. In addition to that,
To be honest, if I think about all the nerd zones of the past several months, are there any left? Haven't they all been taken now? Like I feel like there's nothing left that hasn't been taken. It's so strange because years ago I would think two lost social security numbers was the end of the world. If I, go back
right,
10 years and
right.
now it's like, yeah, here's a few more million, whatever.
This is 3 million people of some of the most sensitive data. And I'm not even done. They also stole medical history, applicants' work history, educational background, criminal records, and credit history. All of that information, again, from someone who spent a lot of time being in that attacker mindset. I can use that information to ruin people, to steal their identity, to completely blast their reputation into orbit. Like this is the worst. I mean, apart from like blood samples from everyone, but
Hmm.
hey, medical history, you might actually have results from blood samples. You never know. But think about that. That is, as someone who's had their identity stolen a couple times, like I kind of painted a target on my back for a while. That's the most paralyzing feeling of that information is now in someone's hands who either wants to, at the low end, just resell it, which that's bad, or use that in a coordinated attack campaign to extort things from you. That's very, very bad.
So this happened about a year ago, according to the news report, and it was late 2024 that they kind of reported it. So just picture a company who's like, "Oh no, we have an incident. Should we report it? I don't know. Should we tell anyone? I don't know. Should we get some help? I don't know." And we don't know a whole lot of details of the remediations yet. I don't think it's all been publicly shared, other than the fact that, when they finally realized they had a HIPAA data loss, they realized, oh, regulators want us to report. We know we have to report because of our HIPAA requirements.
Well, and that's a great point because I wonder what are going to be the penalties on these folks for waiting almost a whole freaking year to report this. And they still haven't said why it took them so long.
Hmm.
So a lot of people are in the dark. More to come on that DISA Global Solutions breach. The last one I'll talk about, and I think we might have even talked about this one before, so I won't. Or we talked about this company, I think, in a previous episode, so I won't spend too much time. But Orange, the financial institution has had their second breach. Their last breach was around this time last year. It was January 2024. Their Romanian branch this time, remember the first one was their Spanish branch. Their Romanian branch has been hit by a cyber attack in which thousands of internal documents were stolen. The threat actor has actually been identified. They call themselves Ray. They claim to be a member of the Hellcat ransomware group, which is a thorn in a lot of folks' side. They claim to have accessed over 380,000 email addresses and other sensitive data, which email address by itself, in the grand scheme of things, like what we just talked about with DISA, maybe not the worst thing. It's still a leak of private information. And the financial institution Orange claimed that the hack occurred on non-critical back office systems and had no impact on customers' operational activities. But the hacker came back and said, hey, listen, I was able to steal data undetected, remain completely undetected in your system for about 3 hours, resulting in about 6.5 gigs of download. So from a repeat customer perspective, the fact that they've now hit two of Orange's branches and claim that they were able to move laterally for several hours, Sean and I will tell you, had this person been a little bit more motivated, a little bit more persistent, they probably could have gotten whatever they wanted.
Yeah,
It's
got whatever they wanted, locked the entire org out, created a very bad long recovery for Orange.
Yes, yes. So again, we don't have enough time to go into like motivations and really dissecting the attribution, but it just kind of, I wonder why this was such a paltry amount of information. Was it really that this person could only get that? In that case, I wonder if the attribution to the Hellcat ransomware group was actually real, or was this them kind of testing the waters, and maybe there was a not ransomware, but maybe there's a ransom issued to Orange of like, hey, we're going to do this again unless you pay us whatever, because that kind of stuff happens all the time.
Crazy.
Yep.
All right, there's our nerd zone for this week.
That's it. Nerd Zone wrapped up.
We're going to move on to our next sponsor spot, which is Cybersecurity Growth Training, introducing our new education series with online self-paced courses for everyone. Are you a musician, a producer, or studio owner worried about protecting your valuable creations online? I am not just a cybersecurity professional, I'm also an independent musician, and I created Cybersecurity Growth Training to be your go-to online destination for easy-to-understand, practical cybersecurity education. Our unique course, which is titled Cybersecurity for Musicians, Producers, and Studios, is tailored specifically for creatives. There's no tech jargon, just simple, actionable steps to keep your music creations safe from cyber threats, and gets deep into copywriting and royalty collections. Join the course today and safeguard your art. Visit cybersecuritygrowth.com and click training to protect your passion.
So, Sean, we should probably do an episode on that, on the ramifications of non-data, warehouses getting breached. Because I think a lot of what we talk about is, user information getting stolen. But like, what about someone steals your art, your intellectual property in that regard? That could be as damaging as a financial institution getting all their, credit card numbers stolen.
Yeah, whatever. It's so in Garrett knows some of this, but to share this with our listeners who just heard that for the first time, we're in the process of rolling out a series of educational courses. They'll all be available on the site, and they'll be linking to different locations, and we'll eventually centralize them into a single spot. There'll be all different themes around the training, and some of them will be industry specific. The idea was, how can we create training that's novel, that isn't the same type of training you can get everywhere else? And so this is, and where are there certain areas where we have expertise that maybe other folks don't have that expertise, and how can we help? So yeah, Garrett, it's probably a good idea that we spend a session talking maybe about some of the pieces that are in this course and kind of introducing it to folks. Garrett, anything else we need to catch up on? It's been a while. What do you have going on this week? Anything exciting this week that outside of the show that's worth catching up on?
To really kind of share a bit of my personal life and flex how much of an actual nerd I am, I'm having to troubleshoot a computer that I'm building this weekend. Something about the processor not being recognized by the motherboard. I do not claim to be an expert in hardware anymore, so that'll be fun.
You can see we've been building a lot of things at Cybersecurity Growth over the past couple months, more to come. I'm working on our next course, and just to tease it, it's kind of an introduction for a CISO course. That'll be coming soon. I used to promote dates. I used to promote quarters of when things would come, and I used to promote months. And then I realized that is one of the worst things you could ever do in the software industry is ever give anyone a date ever. Just say, this is what we're working on for the future, and we'll tell you when it's ready. So stand by.
Now, next, and later. That's right.
Stand by. Okay, let's wrap this thing up, shall we?
Awesome.
All right. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. If your company would like to become a sponsor of the Cybersecurity Growth Show, you can reach out to us at sales@cybersecuritygrowth.com. I am Sean Valley. I am the creator of the show and the music here on Cybersecurity Growth. You can visit us at cybersecuritygrowth.com and get all of the shows at cybersecuritygrowth.com/webcasts. You can find us on pretty much everywhere the social networks are at Cybersecurity Growth. If you like the show, please tell your friends. If you hate it, please tell the People's Republic of China. Maybe they can VPN and listen to us. I don't know. Like and subscribe to the show. Leave 5 stars wherever you're watching or listening, and leave a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, something along those lines. Garrett, you don't do much of the socials, so where can people find you?
I'll probably be hiding out in your corporate Slack infrastructure, asking you for, access tokens that bypass MFA and SSO, just things of that nature.
And what's really nice about Garrett is he's thoughtful and pleasant. He asks you for your session tokens before he takes them. He's going to take them anyways, but he's thoughtful. He's at least, he was raised with manners.
And I'll probably even give you plausible deniability that you had no idea what you were doing, so you won't be implicated.
Yeah, that's good. We are live on Twitch every other week, sometimes. Usually Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7:30 a.m. Pacific, and 3:30 p.m. GMT. And then we're in your pod feeds and YouTube a few days later. So Garrett, I hope we don't take too long to get to the next show. I feel like we were just on a little bit of a vacation, and we should say vacation's over, get back to work.
I agree.
And so, good doing a show with you again. Thanks.
Good seeing you. Take care, guys.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Garrett, you good?
I'm good. I'm ready to go.
All right. Malgorzatopl. That last one, it looks like apple great. With a whole lot of P's in it. Oh, no. Tuyet Highland. The end of it is Highland, Garrett. What is going on? I truly believe people are.
And just so for people that are listening and watching, I can't see these, so I have no idea what Sean is saying. No. That's what makes me so tickled.
I'm reading them off my iPad right here.
No, I don't want to see them ever. I don't ever want to see them.
Valid Hill, SXOZ. Jizwalt. Why did I say that out loud? I'll be censoring that on the edit.
Did you just get Seymour Butts?
It's not here yet, but it'll be here. It'll be here. By the way, Garrett, I don't know if you've seen this the last few podcasts. I put a little bit more production into the video where I kind of have a little bumper at the beginning, but if you watch to the end, I have all of our bloopers.
You got some bloopers? Oh, yeah, for sure.
I've been editing out our ands and ums and uhs, and then just the idiocy that sometimes happens on our shows. I love it. And I've been putting them into the bloopers. A lot of this
that's the benefit of watching live is you get to see it in its raw and real Garrett and Sean format.
Zero knee. It's XERON3, so I'm guessing that's an E in reverse. See, this is why I need you. I read it out loud. And you're like, I can hear what you're saying. How can you not see it, Sean? What is wrong with you? I basically it's official. All right, hold on. We will be right back after I find the button that I need to click here.